Do you see benefits to being a more forgiving person? There are benefits to your well being and your relationships, not just with the person that hurt you. Maybe you're called to be more forgiving by your beliefs. I'm going to take a moment just to share a story and see if this helps you get some perspective on why it's important to be more forgiving. Learn the lessons of a pencil. Imagine a pencil with an eraser. Learn the lessons that the pencil has for your life. It is a short life, but it can make a significant mark, just like you. Like you, what is inside the pencil, not the outside, is responsible for making a mark. The pencil needs to be sharpened regularly, so don't feel bad about the sharpening you must endure. Often the hurts and wounds that feel painful can be your sharpening. It allows you to end up having that inspiration and that joy to continue to move on from that sharpening. A pencil is not a pen. Its mistakes can be corrected with effort, but it often means standing the pencil on its head. Our world tells you that you should seek power to succeed. Instead, seek love. Instead of revenge, seek to forgive. That is where the real power is. So, in case if we haven't met before, hi, I'm Sharon. I'm a stress recovery coach, and when I saw all the hard feelings and the broken families that were coming up from the US elections, I felt that it would be worthwhile to share one of the tools that I'd been investigating to use with my clients as they improved from stress and achieved greater work-life harmony. So I've been taking this tool and helping to go through some election forgiveness scenarios. So if you've been following along, I'm hoping you've had a significant amount of forgiveness occur and feel that the relationship is beginning to repair from your side. Recapping what you've learned so far. Forgiveness is a choice, and it's all about changing you. The other person does not have to change or repent, and you don't even need to talk to the person through the process. So this is so that you can secure the benefits. And forgiveness has two parts to it. So decisional forgiveness benefits you spiritually and relationally. What a decisional forgiveness is just that you make the decision to forgive. And then emotional forgiveness is when you transform those feelings of resentment, anger, hate, irritation, whatever it is that you're feeling as a result of the hurt, into compassion, empathy, sympathy, unselfish love, which benefits your physical and your mental health. And then we have a process to go through to achieve emotional forgiveness. And this process has 5 steps to it. The acronym is REACH, REACH, where each letter of the in the word has a different meaning for it. So the first one is R, recall the hurt. E, empathize with the one who hurt you. A is give an altruistic gift. C is commit to forgiveness. And H, the fifth one, is to hold on to that forgiveness when you doubt. Through this process, you are able to transform those feelings and get to the point where you can value the person and the relationship. Through this process, we've talked a ton about forgiveness and how forgiveness looks different for so many different people depending on what the situation is and what they've had to experience. So, in your life, do you have forgiveness heroes? People that are role models that forgive much and whom you admire? Forgiveness heroes can be people you know or have heard about. So here's a couple questions to get you to think through them. So the first one, describe someone in your life who you consider to be very forgiving. What makes them forgiving and how do you feel about this person? A second one would be describe a historical person who you consider to be very forgiving. What made that person forgiving in your perspective? And 3, someone from the present who you don't know personally. So I'll just share a couple of examples from my life. So the first one is my mom. She seemed to have the most kindest heart and was always open to forgive people. She's no longer with us. She passed within the past year, and it's just amazing what her heart was able to show and to share with everyone around her. From a historical perspective, I've heard stories from Holocaust survivors just absolutely floor me. Just I'm absolutely amazed that after what they've been through, that they're capable of forgiving people that had been involved in those hurts. It just, I just can't even fathom what they had to go through and what was necessary for them to being able to get to a state of forgiveness. And then for someone from the present that I don't know personally, I'm involved in, I volunteer with a recovery group. And so some of the stories that these people have is just, again, it just floors you in terms of what these individuals have survived, trauma, addiction, and what they've been able to overcome and to have victory over and to achieve. And forgiveness is part of that. Moving into the next exercise. Seeing yourself as a forgiveness hero. So look at yourself in the mirror and then walk away. Return to the mirror a second time. You've looked at two faces. The first face was a person who has both been hurt and hurt others. The second is the face of a person who has struggled against the burden of unforgiveness, revenge motives, grudges. It is the face of a person who has defeated unforgiveness. It is the face of a hero of forgiveness. We are obviously the owner of both faces. Live like the hero of forgiveness that you are. You'll want to examine yourself and try to become more forgiving. So now that you're feeling inspired by forgiveness heroes, including yourself, send yourself an email or text message expressing your sincere desire to be a more forgiving person. Write the ways that you would like to develop a forgiving and warm character. Identify concrete steps that you can take to develop this character. So, when I went through this exercise, this is paraphrasing what I came up for myself. Resentment and irritability is a cage. Through daily self evaluation, it allows me to better capture these feelings so then I can process forgiveness when the hurts arise. As I mentioned before, I have a tendency to kind of suppress emotions and not recognize things, and then they stew until I do something about them. So this allows me to get in front of, well, it's not in front of, but to respond to it much sooner than allowing the grudge to build over time. So sometimes by this point, you're still having a challenge with forgiving the person. So your emotional forgiveness hasn't gone all the way up to the 10, like we talked about in the previous episodes. So here's a way to go through and work with that particular situation. So many times it's because there are other hurts as well involving this person or similar types of hurts that you've experienced. And so you need to process those because they're so intertangled and connected. You got to go through them together. So write down 3 to 5 of the not completely forgiven hurts that you have that are related to this. Then you want to go through and forgive one wound at a time. So I'm going to go through a short form version on how to use the reach model so that you can go through and quickly identify each of the different steps in this, and then you can take your time and work through any of the particular steps that you might be having some difficulty with. So the first one, R, recall the hurt. So just write a summary of what that hurt was. Then E, you want to empathize or sympathize and just change that point of view. Describe why the person did what he or she did from that person's point of view as best as you can understand it. From that perspective, can you access compassion, care, or unselfish love? Moving on to A, altruistic gift. So thinking empathically about the wrongdoer or sympathetically about the wrongdoer, can you explain why you might want to unselfishly let go of negative emotions? Could you bless this person? Could you value them despite the hurt and recognize that they are flawed? Moving into C, commit to any forgiveness that you experienced. Write a sentence about your success in trying to forgive. It doesn't have to be around these hurts or with this person, just anything to access what it feels like for you to forgive. What does it feel in your emotions and in your thoughts? So, if you made a decision to forgive and treat the person better right when you plan to do it, by accessing the feelings from a different situation, you want to you can then successfully transfer those feelings. You can find where they might be hidden underneath some of the resentment in the situation so that you can help forgive that person a little bit better. It's kind of a little bit of a transference is what you do with this step. So then H, you're holding on to forgiveness. So you want to write down how hard you think it would be to make this a lasting forgiveness. What are some of the obstacles that you think you might encounter and how might you address those? So that quick exercise shouldn't take you very long because you've learned a lot about how to reach forgiveness through all of these different videos. So take the time and for each of those 3 to 5 hurts that you've identified that are similar in nature to the election forgiveness one that you're working through or with this specific person and detail those out. If you need to, you can go back through some of the other exercises that are there. Once you've done that, it's time to move into that next exercise. And this again can end up helping you to process more of that emotional forgiveness if you're not quite where you want to be with it. So you want to change your experience with the past. You can't change the past, but you can change the way you talk about it. So for those events, either the election forgiveness or any of the up to 5 events that you just identified, write about how you will talk differently about that event from now on. So you're just reframing it to tap better into the empathy, the sympathy, the compassion, um, the care for this person. So I'm going to give an example of one. So my initial situation was with my dad for election forgiveness. There's a few childhood memories that I seem to hold on to that are key to a lot of patterns in that relationship that have some underlying resentment in them that I've recognized. So when I change my experience of the past, I need to get out of looking at it as a 2 year old, a 4 year old, how my memories are putting it together, where it's all very self centered in regards to my emotions and the hurts that I experienced. Particularly now as an adult, I have a better capability to understand what was happening in that moment. So I can focus on how my parents were doing the best that they could in the situation of the moment and empathize with what they must have been going through and offer them and my inner childhood memories of myself compassion from that view. And to by changing that experience with the past, you can then change how you feel with it. I can recognize the 2 year old me, 4 year old me, her feelings were really hurt and all of this, and she didn't understand what was going on and just it how impactful it was. But as an adult, I can look back and go, okay, I understand that, and I can offer myself that compassion and give my inner self what she wanted at that moment in time. But then I can also, as an adult, view my parents with greater compassion than I was as a child. I hope that helps you to take and make some more additional progress with this person or this situation that you've been working on. So, one more strategy to help you become more forgiving that's specific to the individual that is involved in this election forgiveness situation that you've been working on. So, think of the person who hurt you. Write how you will better forgive the wrongdoer in the future. So you're in a better place now. Now, if something happens in the future, how are you going to think about it, approach it to be more forgiving, to be more compassionate? So, and I want to be clear, this is not about like if somebody is abusing you, hurting you, don't trying to murder you like some of those poisoning situations I talked about previously. Those are real hurts. Don't like try and whitewash them away. Don't make it pretend that they're not occurring. There are things that you need to recognize that are wrong and don't try and make it go away. Forgiveness is just about your emotions. You don't deserve bad things to happen to you, like somebody going so extreme. that they're going to try and murder suicide you or poison you for a difference in election opinion. So be safe and then work on the emotions separately. So any future interactions that I have, for example, I'm going to be focused with my father after going through this whole process. I'm going to focus on the desired outcome of the interaction before I go in. So I'm in a very healthy emotional state, and I'm not like pre-triggering myself by thinking of how things can go wrong. And that allows me to help get in that better framework and better navigate or change the channel if emotions come up or raise or there's a behavior in there that's going to lead to hurt. So, thinking more about your situation, will you dedicate yourself to providing forgiveness to other people, though, beyond the person in the election forgiveness in the future? So you want to make sure that you write down that intention because you may need to come back to this and remind yourself about this intention. This is another type of decisional forgiveness, but instead of looking to the past, you're looking to the future and making a commitment for what you're going to be doing going forward. So the other way to also think about it is to keep putting this in process. Just like training, we'd use the example or the exercise of that this is a new skill and needs to be practiced. So by sharing this model, you can, or other actions you can take in practicing this more, you can become a more forgiving person. So for me, it's really important to keep sharing this model, getting even more and more comfortable with it, researching it to be able to help others. I've always been, I've always seen that it happens that the best way to learn is to teach it yourself. And the more that you teach it to others, the more mastery that you get over a topic. We've got a few more exercises that you can go through to work with those 3 to 5 situations or the election forgiveness one to help you achieve emotional forgiveness. So these are additional exercises that fit into the model to help you process. So let's practice forgiving under imagined circumstances. So pick any of the hurts that you're working through or and take a look at the person or the situation and imagine that you're in a similar situation in the future. So what happens? So keep, as you go through that situation, just continue to write it from the framework that you care and you respect the person and that you're seeking to achieve a good long-term relationship with them. So whenever you imagine it, if you find yourself falling in back into that grudge, correct it so that it plays out the way that you want it to go. Because that helps to stimulate so that you're building in the practice of having positive emotions in that situation or towards that person. So another exercise that you can do is practicing forgiveness day to day. So from those events that you've identified, or the people or the situations, what do you have the most negative feeling toward? You'll want to end up taking a look and listing the strengths of that person that's in that situation or the person that you're targeting and working towards. If strengths is a little hard because of the hurt that you have, maybe you just need to find some gratitude for some things that they did. You know, in our relationships, there's always a mix of the good and the bad. So make sure you're recognizing some of the positive things. And so anytime then you have an interaction with that person, identify what a strength or something to give gratitude for, and it'll continue to process you towards forgiveness. If you don't have an interaction with that person, just keep sitting down every day, and as you're doing any journaling or processing, just pick one more thing. So every day you're just making that small, tiny, tiny, tiny improvement that over time will make a difference. Another way that you can handle this is to consult with someone you trust. A lot of times people don't talk to people in regards to when someone's wronged them or they're feeling hurt and they try and handle it alone. Others, you go find somebody and you vent and you. So, depending on kind of what your normal process is for when something happens in your life that you're feeling hurt or feel that you've been wronged, consider going and seeking some social support where you can talk to someone about how do you achieve more forgiveness. So it's not just about the venting and making sure that somebody lines up with you and validates your feelings, but helps you on that process towards forgiveness. And so think about how that person might help you to progress. So this is another safe exercise to do to help you to become more forgiving and to move that emotional forgiveness barometer. So switching gears a little bit. So this is more of a general thing to try is starting a campaign to feel warmth towards your frenemies. Just what are some different things that you can do to continue to change your feelings towards anybody that may harm you through the course of a day? Maybe this approach can help you with some of the names that you and the situations that you've listed before. So just as an example on this one. So I'd have in the example I'd shared about the divorce several episodes ago, that person's completely out of my life and I don't think about them. But if a memory pops up, I don't bash them in my mind. I truly do wish them the best, but my curiosity hasn't even made me go look them up. So you can use some of those moments when emotions pop up or memories pop up in regards to unrelated things and use those then kind of like we mentioned in that transference approach so that you can stay and continue to hold on to your forgiveness. We've gone through the formal process and a whole bunch of different exercises to keep you going towards emotional forgiveness. And I really hope that you're beginning to free yourself from the burden and the weight of unforgiveness. So let's just go back for just another minute. A few times you have considered the decision to completely forgive the person who hurt you. You not only have seen the benefits of forgiving, but you've also experienced real emotional changes as you contemplated how the person who hurt you thought and felt. You have more empathy for the person now than when you started. And you have seen that emotional forgiveness can improve your own character and your own well being. And you have thought about more how to become an excellent forgiver by watching these videos and doing these exercises. So, this is one more chance in regards to that election forgiveness situation to make a decision to completely forgive the person you've worked so hard to forgive. With everything that you've gone through, are you ready to forgive? So, one more time, we're going to go through and do that exercise. So, pick up whatever is representative of the rest of the resentment or the grudge and the feelings that you have towards this person and this situation. Clasp them in your hands, extend your arms, and squeeze as tight as you can on those objects that are representing the hurt, and hold that burden for 30 seconds. As you hold your arms out, just notice how does this feel? As you feel your nails clenching into your fists, into your palm of your hand, around those objects, how does that feel? As your arms grow tired, think of all the other things you could be doing with your hands and with your life if you could just let go of any remaining unforgiveness and start doing something else. Remember that holding this burden hurts you, not the wrongdoer, but letting go helps you both. If you feel like you are ready to let go and make the true decision to forgive, open your hands, and let your arms fall back to their normal position. Feel the relief of that burden lifting. Know that you can get back to your life now that you have forgiven. As you've released that grudge and that resentment, there's room in your heart to experience more. So, with everything that you've gone through, you may be asking, okay, so what now? Maybe I'm not there. Maybe I'm super excited about all of this and I want to learn more. I'm going to put some other resources in the description link of this video. The author of this workbook, Dr. Worthington, has other DIY resources that are like this. There's another author that I've met, and she's got some great resources on forgiveness, more specific to trauma and abandonment, that I'll drop in the description below. because sometimes it takes a little bit of a different perspective and a lot more time to work through all of the emotional hurt that comes with forgiving someone. If you have any questions on this exercise or video series, please email me at sharon@whisperingfieldswellness.com. If you feel that forgiveness and gratitude can help you reduce the tension in work relationships, let me know. I'd love to pick your brain for some ideas on a package, and I'm offering some free coaching and mentoring in return. I really truly believe that a little bit of gratitude and forgiveness can go a long ways in making more peaceful and productive work environments. We're going to do one last imagery exercise. Going back to the idea of forgiveness needs training. So when you look in that mirror and you flex your arm muscle, becoming a more forgiving person is like becoming a stronger person. Building muscles won't just happen. You must work and spend time just as you did in this workbook. And like strength training, forgiveness training has many other benefits beyond making you stronger. Now, make a decision about whether you need to spend more time either forgiving the hurt that you've been working on related to election forgiveness or seeking to become a more forgiving person. Know this. The depth of your forgiveness depends on how much time you spend trying sincerely to forgive people. To help you decide if you want to invest more time trying to forgive, give some time and search your heart as to what your next steps are. In summary, I really pray that this has made a difference to you and your life, that you feel the lightness and the freedom that comes from forgiveness. There'll be resources in the description for you to move on. If not, I hope that we cross paths again at some other point. If you find that forgiveness is something super exciting and you want to do in regards to stressful working relationships, please let me know. I wish you the best. Have a blessed day.